What is up, my single digit viewers, probably from Wrestling Reddit, or those sub for sub pages, or from Wrestling Amino, or anyone I forced my videos upon, even bots as well, paid bots? Welcome to my review of the May 18th edition of AEW Dynamite. Let's begin. So, first match is Samoa Joe versus the Joker in the semifinal match in the Owen tournament. And the Joker turned out to be Johnny. Just not the Johnny that we thought it would be. It was hinted that it was going to be Johnny Gargano by Tommaso Ciampa. So this is when I kind of realized that it's probably not going to be Johnny Gargano. There is no way that a wrestler from another company who's your rival is ever going to contribute to your programming. And it's actually better that it's not Johnny Gargano, since he's going to eat a loss against Joe, obviously. So I'm glad that it's Johnny, whatever company he works for. So it's Johnny Elite for AEW, but also previously known as Johnny Ultra, Johnny Superstar, Johnny Onyx, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, Johnny Game Changer, Johnny Caballero, Johnny Blaze, Johnny Blackcraft, and John Morrison. So yeah, that was a lot of names. I'm just looking through his Wikipedia page here. I don't even know some of these promotions. So he makes his entrance with a huge pop, still fresh in the minds of the marks, as he faces off with Samoa Joe for the first time ever. This wasn't the best match in the card. This was probably just an average TV match. But even the tactics of Johnny, like in kayfabe, in the match, were kind of dumb. He tried to go for punches, and you don't outstrike Samoa Joe. He should have went for more diving moves, actually. He should have done what he knew best how to do. And what's sad is that the diving moves that he does try to do were a couple of botches, and there were two of them. The first is a sort of side somersault that reminds me of the motion he does when he used to do the Moonlight Drive. The jump looked cool, but the contact that he makes is like little to none. Joe sells this, but yeah, it didn't look good. The camera angle didn't help also. And after this, he did a 450 splash near the end of the match that kind of fell short. Joe was too far, honestly. If you looked at it, he was too far from the turnbuckle. So Johnny landed on his knees and then compensated the remaining distance. This looked bad. This looks so bad. He also does this sort of cartwheel clothesline that was his highest impact move that he hit completely. But the cartwheel itself looked unnecessary. You could have just went for a clothesline. And you know what? That first dive on a standing Joe to the outside, that could have been just a crossbody or something. What I did like from the match was that they had this story thing going where Johnny tried to do this Samoan drop on Samoa Joe early on in the match, but he was too heavy. He couldn't carry him. But he hits this with sort of Joe's assistance because he was running. This made it easier for Johnny to carry him and then hit the move. So the finish of the match was Johnny tries to go for the Starship Pain, but then Joe gets his knees up. It hurts Johnny. Joe punches the shit out of him to the opposite turnbuckle, and then he does the Muscle Buster for the 1-2-3. This match was okay. It was just an average TV match for me. I'm open to seeing Johnny wherever he works again in AEW, maybe against a more suitable opponent that matches well with his style. So after the match, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh, who walks very slowly, enter the ring to beat up Joe. They get a couple of hits in, but then Roppongi Vice / best friends storm into the ring with chairs, finally, to counter the big dude. They succeed and have a stare down with the three on the stage at this point. So this was the run-of-the-mill post-match beatdown with a save. Nothing special, it just moved the chains. After this, we get a backstage segment that starts off as an interview by Lexi on the Hardys. And we get the information that Jeff is medically cleared to compete later. When honestly, I thought Darby was the one who should have been, like, of more concern to be dead or something. Because he took the most damage from that match, as expected. Because that's Darby Allin. So yeah, so after this, the Young Bucks come in, they shoo away Lexi, and then they express sort of backhanded concern to Jeff Hardy. The usual script that the fans use to express concern to their favorite wrestlers who do too much shit in the ring, but the wrestlers don't seem to listen to, especially Jeff Hardy. So Matt Hardy defends his brother. He says the stupid, cringy cosplay line that I hear all of the time that is so fucking overused. It's used to belittle the younger talent, which I'm like kind of okay with at times, but try to express it in a better way, like Mini-Me or Hardy's Jr. or something. Stop using cosplay just because it's in. So yeah, this was an okay segment. It moved the chains just like the previous one. So next is what should have been the main event. It certainly had the quality to be the main event, but I guess Tony Khan is scared of putting this guy in main events after like Rampage got its lowest ratings 2 weeks ago. The match is Adam Hangman Page, the AEW World's Heavyweight Champion, against Konosuke Takeshita from Dramatic Dream Team or DDT in Japan, and Dog VA's video about wrestling, which was awesome. As for the match itself, this was a pay-per-view main event level type of match, if given more time. It was definitely a more American style of match since there was a story going on about CM Punk being in Adam Page's head. So Adam Page would look at CM Punk at the commentary table from time to time. There was some characteristically Japanese stuff here too, like the strike battles. We also get German suplexes where they land on their heads. And there's this part where right after Page delivers a tombstone on Takeshita, Takeshita tries to do this sort of stalling German suplex on Page, but then sells his neck. Like he just lands on the floor with his hands on his neck, and then he does this thing where he shows his fighting spirit to Aubrey Edwards, who like wanted to stop the match, who was checking on him, but he holds her hand, stops her from doing so. Nice touch here. And I like how Takeshita sells, like, according to his weight. Since he's bigger than Page, you don't expect him to, like, flip over unless it's the buckshot lariat. This match also had some tribute moments, like Page does a tombstone, Takeshita does a beautiful last ride. It matches his height. And they also do these El Generico tribute moments where they do, like, Helluva kicks to each other, a Blue Thunder Bomb by Takeshita. I liked how commentary talked about this, about Generico possibly being dead or managing an orphanage. I believe it's the latter. And I also like that Punk progressed the storyline, basically, by giving away his tactics, but Page doesn't hear this, so he doesn't know that Punk is, like, on purpose trying to get in his head. Like, he's living rent-free in his head. There's one spot of the match, though, that would look a bit wonky to most people, but, I mean, as I interpret it, there's this spot that Konosuke does. It's his, like, one of his most impressive-looking spots. It's the lariat off the top turnbuckle. Jay Lethal took this, but the difference with this match is that Jay Lethal went down. So he went with, like, synchronously with the clothesline, and it looked more like a jumping clothesline. As for this week, this show, Page kind of dodged the move since he did, like, a moonsault off to dodge it. There was less contact here, and there was, like, less dedication from Konosuke to do the jumping clothesline. It looked more like a punch more than a clothesline, so that's how I'll rationalize this spot here. So Page avoids the lariat, he lands on his feet, and then he sets up for the finish. He goes for a discus clothesline and then the buckshot lariat, and then we get some storytelling where he looks at Punk on the commentary table, and then he goes for the GTS. And this is what I'm saying, how Konosuke sells as a person his size. Because the way he sells the GTS, he just falls on Hangman's knee and falls straight down after. Like, the way that people sell CM Punk's GTS is they bounce off to the opposite direction. The way that people sell Kenta's GTS is that they slightly bounce off his knee and then they go forward instead. And as for Hangman's GTS, Konosuke just fell through Hangman's knee. Nice variations, and we need it in wrestling. Not everything has to be the same. So Hangman gets the win, and then CM Punk approaches him. They have a stare down, and I was hoping for a promo battle or like some words, anything, but no. I guess we're gonna have that, please God, next week on the Go Home Show. Next, we get a video promo by Fuego, and I don't know how to feel about this because Fuego is basically enhancement talent, and yeah, he never seems to win anything. He already fought House of Black and then he lost. So, I don't know, maybe give the time to someone else. But this promo was really good. Fuego cuts an amazing promo, and this sets up his match with House of Black, like all three of them, with his side having Ten and Evil Uno from the Dark Order. For the third match, it's pretty much a squash between the team of Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee against the Workhorsemen, JD Drake and Anthony Henry. Yeah, so these guys are pretty much enhancement talent again. They get zero offense, like none of it works, none of their offense hits. But then Swerve and Keith do this sick looking finishing move. It's sort of a power bomb, but Swerve does a double foot stomp. And then Swerve like bows after, and then Keith goes for the pin for the win. Sick looking finisher. I can't wait for this to be done on someone like relevant. So yeah, after this we get to the important part of this segment. It's a promo head to head by three teams. So after they win, Keith Lee cuts a promo. It's like meh, it's sort of average. And then Ricky Starks like destroys both of them. Swerve Strickland tries to like counter, but he can't do it himself. Christian and the Jurassic Express have to like help him out, and then they bury Ricky Starks for his like rich boy caddy outfit. And then Christian sets up a match for next week between Ricky Starks, Jungle Boy, and Swerve. And as for Jungle Boy's reaction to this, it's so subtle. They are hinting at Christian's heel turn pretty subtly. Like they don't overtly like have arguments with each other. They don't like give each other these weird looks, or we don't have these sort of very, very clear moments of Christian doing any bad things. It's just like Christian is the dad who's pushing Jungle Boy a little bit too much. The turn might become more overt after the team loses the belts, but that's for after Double or Nothing. My prediction is that on the pay-per-view, Starks is probably going to pin Jungle Boy, effectively removing Jurassic Express from the equation, leaving them to do their own thing, the Christian breakup storyline, and the feud for the titles will probably go on as Starks and Hobbs versus Swerve and Keith. And I hope Starks finally drops the FTW championship, because that's like, it's like useless. It's like a prop at this point. And so after this, we get a sort of promo confrontation between Chris Stadlater and Red Velvet. They have a semi-final match on Friday for the Women's Owen. As for the promos, Chris Stadlater hasn't really talked for 3 years. For 3 years, she was in AEW, and let's see how her character grows from here. This was like alright. Like her performance was like alright. Red Velvet was much better. She had this cockiness, this bitchiness. She's finally finding her own way in terms of promo skills. And Jade Cargill, you know what? I just can't get into Jade Cargill's promos. It's like she just pulls back every time she talks. She needs to like go for it like 100%. And then she'll be perfect. Next, we get the best segment of the entire night, again, consistently, by MJF. Sign him right now. Yeah. So MJF shits on the crowd, the Texas Hick crowd. He puts over Long Island again, and then he brings out Wardlow. So Wardlow enters like shirtless already, ready to be whipped. And so MJF starts whipping. He goes for one. It does nothing. Wardlow just laughs it off and MJF like celebrates, thinking it's gonna be like when he whipped Cody. But no. This is a bigger dude. This is Wardlow. And then he goes for another one. He goes for number two, and again, it does nothing. Just some snarky looks from Wardlow. And so this pisses off MJF. He removes his polo, and then he goes for number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And still, this does nothing. MJF is like enraged. Sean Spears pulls him off to stop him from wasting his hits. MJF is brought to the corner, and then he goes for an Anakin Skywalker and just says that he hates Wardlow so much. And so he gives it to the larger Sean Spears, who's actually taller than Wardlow. I don't know why he calls himself the Giant Killer if he himself is a giant in this roster. So yeah, he hits Wardlow and finally does damage. Number 8 hits Wardlow right in the deltoids, but again, this does nothing. So then Spears goes for number 9. This hits his traps, and finally, Wardlow winces in pain. Spears and MJF gloat over him after finally doing damage. Wardlow, pissed off, approaches MJF and then states that he has one more hit, and then this is over. And so MJF goes for the last hit. He approaches, and then instead of hitting him, he kicks him in the balls. This always works. I like how he finally gets one over on Wardlow after he kicks him in the balls. And yeah, I love how MJF finally got one over on Wardlow. He kicks him in the balls, the weak spot of all men, and then he drops on the floor and gets beaten up some more. And so MJF punches him with the ring on, knocking him out. I love the attention to detail in this segment right here. I love that Wardlow only gets hurt on the 9th when it hits his traps. And then the last one is a kick in the balls, followed by the 10th lash on the floor. Amazing stuff here by MJF, Wardlow, and Sean Spears. Again, Tony Khan, give this man all the money. MJF is the future. Okay, so after that fire segment, we get a backstage promo by Roppongi Vice. So Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. I was always lukewarm on them. They weren't really that good. New Japan's tag team division back in the day wasn't really good. But I want to see what they can do here in AEW. So yeah, they challenge FTR for the ROH Tag Team Championships. And they sort of make fun of Britt. They go heelish. And that was pretty much it. I don't know when the match is going to be. Probably next week or hopefully at Double or Nothing. Who knows? Can't wait. On to the next match. So the next match is Rey Fenix versus Kyle O'Reilly for the Owen. And Rey Fenix doesn't usually sell. Or in most of his matches, he doesn't sell a lot. But in this one, he sells his ass off. And I also love how much body control these two have. Rey Fenix on his high-flying moves and Kyle O'Reilly on everything he does. So much body control, especially with his strikes, like the combos that he does. Because there's a part here where Rey Fenix gets all loopy and then Kyle does a combo. He kicks him hard in the legs and Fenix just collapses and sells it. Another bout of great selling is when Rey Fenix does his 619 rebound from the ropes, but instead falls on the outside on the elevated ramp, and then he sells his left arm, the one that he injured and had to go through surgery with. And I also like how white Kyle O'Reilly is, because when he gets chopped on his chest, it turns red so much. So basically the story of the match this is when we get to the story of the match after all of that. Kyle is basically targeting Rey Fenix's left arm, so the one that was injured last time. It was really bad, but he targets this the entire match through picture-in-picture, 100% of the time, while Rey Fenix does his usual shit. He tries to do high-impact moves to hurt Kyle O'Reilly. Another great spot is a sort of Alabama slam position to a power bomb. It's like the perfect cruiserweight power bomb right here. There's three more spots that I'd like to talk about in this match because it was so fucking good. This is like on the same level as the Page match earlier. So first was like a triple butterfly suplex by Kyle O'Reilly that fails on the third one. Next is this strike battle where they both kick each other and then they fall. They both slap each other as they're kneeling and then they both fall. And then there's this Hurricane Rana to the outside by Rey Fenix. Amazing. But there's like one silly spot that I think will bother a lot of people. It's this constant rebounding on the ropes followed by a strike. So this starts with like Kyle O'Reilly rebounding from the second rope. He does the Dean Ambrose thing where he bounces off, like he slips through the ropes, uh, reclines, and then does a clothesline, but he misses this. Rey Fenix goes for the rebound on the other side. He does the 619 thing successfully, and then he goes for a roundhouse kick. And then Kyle O'Reilly rebounds on the lowest ropes, on the first rope, and then finally gets a clothesline off. This looks pretty silly, but it leads to the striking fight that we get after. The one that I pointed out first. So the finish of the match is Rey Fenix trying to do this sort of like the Johnny Gargano shoot between the ropes, but Fenix does a flip, and then Kyle catches him like his right arm with an arm breaker, but he switches to the left, and then he does his finisher where he locks both left arm and left leg and makes Fenix tap for the submission win. What an amazing match. Great fast-paced match that I think we need every week. This just shows how good Rey Fenix is. He's not just a spot monkey because he's a luchador. People are dumb. But he can also tell stories in the ring. Just like what he did today with his selling. And Kyle O'Reilly, such a gem. Not only is he charismatic, but he's also very crisp in the ring. Great match. I can't decide which one was better, the Konosuke or this one. Maybe the Konosuke one just because it's between heavyweights. So yeah. The next segment is an in-ring promo battle between the Jericho Appreciation Society against the alliance of the Blackpool Combat Club, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. While I do agree with other reviewers that this segment went a little bit long, this could have done without Chris Jericho's long monologue to start. This was still very entertaining. First, we have Chris Jericho calling William Regal an addict. He mentions about when he pissed on his tea back in the WWF. And William Regal answers back with, I think, the most heelish thing ever. For me, this effectively turns Regal heel because this is just disgusting. And he says it in the most British way possible. So basically, Regal says to the effect of him shoving toothbrushes up his ass of everyone he hates, basically. So that's the whole Jericho Appreciation Society. He did this last week to Daniel Garcia. He did it to Chris Jericho. And this is just disgusting. I agree with Daniel Garcia when he said that. How could you do that to someone? Because that's just like fucked up and wrong in so many levels. But yeah, this gets a very nice reaction, especially when Regal slaps Daniel Garcia down. And I like the part where Jericho challenges all of them to a stadium stampede match. Like the most sports entertainment thing that AEW has ever done. The cinematic match all over the stadium that happened back in the day. And so Jon Moxley, as a pro wrestler, like slapped this idea down. He doesn't want to be associated with anything sports entertainment like. It is alluded that he challenges them to a blood and guts match. And they didn't say it, but it's getting pretty obvious. We're just waiting for William Regal to do a War Games sort of thing with the blood and guts. Maybe he'll say it like blood and guts. And after this, the wizard, Chris Jericho, sows seeds of discord on the Alliance of Pro Wrestlers, and it works. It fucking works. Eddie Kingston charges at Jericho, but Bryan stops him, and this just like causes a fight between everyone. It's I think the Alliance of Pro Wrestlers is gonna lose against the sports entertainers, but who knows? And yeah, this segment was underrated. It could have gone shorter, but yeah, I mean, it was very entertaining. Some nice callbacks to some historical events and some nice promo work by everyone who talked. And yeah, right after this, like to link to the next segment, Matt Sydal and Dante Martin take advantage of this Discord zone and challenge Blackpool Combat Club to a match at Rampage. Both of them are so-so in promos. Matt Sydal's voice is like pretty high. He sounds like a fun dude, but not really menacing. Dante Martin's voice is much more menacing, and he has a lot of room to improve in his promos. Okay, next match, the penultimate one, is the most controversial of the entire show. Okay, so the female Joker turns out to be Maki Itoh. So I've never watched her before in anything. I don't know what. I mean, I don't follow the Joshis, but I do have Tokyo Joshi Pro on Wrestle Universe. So, I mean, I didn't know what to expect again. But holy shit, this Maki Itoh is very charismatic. Her entrance is so fucking unique. It's like Taichi, but she actually sings her songs because she was like an idol back in Japan before she became a wrestler. She's not as good in the ring as the other Joshis, but she makes it up with her charisma, with her like fucking charisma and awesome singing voice, also the dancing. I don't think that America was ready for this yet. They should have brought in a more serious Joshi who would have gotten a better match out of Britt Baker, but I mean, this is what we get. We get some funny stuff, some comedy, but the match itself was like meh. It was like average. It was more of a working the crowd match when the crowd didn't need to be worked. I'm bringing TEW into this all the time. I hate it. But yeah, so the match starts with the former tag team partners, Britt Baker and Maki Itoh, having a hug in the ring, and then them agreeing to like let Britt pin Maki. So like she does this, and then Maki does a roll up instead on Britt. she she like tried to bamboozle her, but she failed since Britt kicked out. And most of the things that Maki did were like roll ups, and picture in picture happened, and a lot of nothing happened in picture in picture. But then the entire match was Maki trying to get the Kokeshi, or what Honma does, like his finisher, the falling headbutt. And so yeah, she finally does this when Britt, in position, rolls out of the way. Maki stops and then like does a spin and then does the Kokeshi on Britt. So the finish of the match is basically after the Kokeshi hits, Britt immediately gets up, super kicks her, and then applies the lockjaw for the submission finish. And I would also like to point out some funny moments in the match. So after that roll up attempt, the bamboozle attempt by Maki, there's this part where she like cries. It was pretty funny, but JR was like having none of it. He was burying Maki in commentary. And there's also this other thing where Maki no sells head bashes on the top turnbuckle. This was maybe the most cringy moment for me. She overplays it, and yeah, this pumps her up to like take control of the match for a little bit. So yeah, so this match actually got more reactions than all of the women's matches we had for the month. It's insane. Maki Itoh can get reactions from a crowd, and I am not opposed to seeing her again in AEW, but uh, America's just not ready for her. The old heads are just gonna bury Joshi wrestling. They're gonna think this is all that it is. And no, come on. Variation. AEW offers variation. This is not any other company. This is not 1980. So yeah, deal with it. And then after the match, we get a stupid stare down. It was a nothing stare down. Tony Storm just came out and like had a stare down with Britt Baker. After this, we get not the worst segment of the night, thankfully. Even though Serena Deeb is not a good promo at all. She like stutters. No, she doesn't stutter. She like loses her voice. She fails to say something. She stumbles and such. Also, there's not much confidence there. She like pulls back, like more than Jade Cargill does, because like they both pull back, but Serena Deeb does it more. And then like she talks very slowly. She fails to like enunciate on the proper words. And yeah, but this segment here actually was, it felt like AEW addressing the Sasha Banks and Naomi situation, because Deeb talked about her experiences in the WWE back then, and yeah, this didn't need to be here. She talked about the breast implants that she had, head shaving, and then she had to satisfy like these fucking pervy old men backstage, like fucking Johnny Ace, Bruce Pritchard, and of course Vince McMahon, and yeah, probably Kevin Dunn as well, like his entire circle. And yeah, I could have done without this, even though I hate the WWE, like because of their practices back in the day. When their locker room was filled with like fucking drug addicts, when people fucking died, when especially after their stints in the companies, they then like spiraled down and died, like Tess, Sean O'Hare, and Chris Benoit, uh, Eddie Guerrero also died because of drugs and the unsafe practices back in the day. But what an interesting way to build up the women's title feud. I didn't think Thunder was gonna come out, but yeah, she did. She saved Dustin Rhodes, but she got hit with her title and Deep poses with it. I'm excited for the match because of the match quality, but I can't wait to move on from this feud based on like promo work, because it's just not working. You need like at least one person who is good at promos and one who can be carried, but this one wasn't that good. Yeah. For the main event of Dynamite, I'm really having problems with AEW and their time management. They should really put the best match in the main event, but I mean, this is the most high profile one because Jeff Hardy, of course, but they just rush through the entrances. It's funny. So Adam Cole attacks Jeff Hardy right away. So like I'm rushing straight to the review without even introducing anyone, because in this match they don't introduce anyone. Adam Cole attacks Jeff Hardy like while entering in the ramp, and then he does his Adam Cole baby, throws Jeff Hardy in the ring, and it starts the match right away to save time. So this match is a modern day Jeff Hardy match. It's just a broken down Jeff Hardy doing minimal things, a lot of rest holds and such. He can't move as fast as he used to, but he manages to still do some of the old hits, like his Enziguri that he does. He also does a Gourd Buster, the Twist of Fate, and the Whisper of the Wind, but he used to do it like by running to the turnbuckle, and then he would do the Whisper to the Wind to a running opponent. But now he has to like find his balance. He needs to like stand on the turnbuckle and do the Whisper of the Wind. But here, I mean, I think they wanted to make it look like that Adam Cole kicked him in the face, but I think he didn't. He might have kicked him in the waist. I'm not sure, but it did look like he kicked him in the face. It would have been awesome if like he made contact with Jeff's face though. That would be sick. That would have gotten like a "This is awesome" chant. But the move did pump the crowd. they got loud, which is like unlike any of the major promotions when they reach their last few minutes of TV time when they reach the main event. This got a reaction, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And so the finish of the match was Jeff Hardy slowly going for the Swanton Bomb. He misses, and then this opens him up for the boom, which Adam Cole does for the win, and then he advances to the finals of the male Owen tournament. And I kind of don't want Adam Cole to win, but he probably will because there's probably going to be an interference by Satnam Singh, Jay Lethal, and Sanjay Dutt. They're probably going to ruin it for Joe. Cole's going to be the first winner of the Owen tournament. I don't know about that. He's kind of getting some heat right now because of his physique. But his main influence, Shawn Michaels, really wasn't the most muscular guy. He was just like a little more muscular, just a little bit. Especially when he came back after the back injury, after the Austin match. When he came back, he got a little more like thinner and such. So yeah. So this match was just a TV match. It was like an average TV match that had great reactions because of Jeff Hardy. So after the match, the Young Bucks came in and beat up the Hardys. The Bucks do the Golden Trigger on Matt. And then Darby and his dad Sting came in to save the Hardys, but they're neutralized by Redragon. And then we get this nostalgic thing where Sting kicks everyone's ass. He no-sells a chair shot by Kyle O'Reilly from the back. And then he throws the chair to Kyle O'Reilly's head. And then this guy sells it very well. He just falls over. But then the Bucks do a super kick that sort of failed. It hit Sting's shoulders instead of his head. And so Sting went down. And so the Undisputed Elite put Sting's leg in a chair. Folded it on his leg and then stepped on the chair, effectively taking him out. It's like when Kane did this to Shawn Michaels, but on his neck. That was such a great segment because Shawn was bleeding all over the place. Everyone thought back then that he was actually hurt, especially everyone in my class. So yeah. Overall, this was a great show. It was very fun with a lot of variety. It also featured a lot of Asian wrestlers for the Heritage Month that the Americans have, but yeah, I don't know. I don't live there. It was better than last week's episode, but it sure as hell was better than the week before. With that stinker of a main event between Deonna Purrazzo and Mercedes Martinez. So thank God for this show. This gave me hope for AEW again. I'm expecting a ratings increase because of the increase in quality of the show. But this did go head to head with the Warriors and Mavs game where the Warriors kick the Mavericks' ass. I'm hoping for a Mavericks win, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Warriors are just too good. But yeah, this went head to head with that on its second hour. This explains why they put the supposed main event match second, in the first hour. And yeah, that's just what they have to deal with. I hope they have shows on when there's no game. They're hitting a glass ceiling, but I expect that to be broken when the storylines get more interesting, when they stop all this cringy garbage with the TNT Championship, and when Kenny Omega comes back, as well as Miro, the former champions. So yeah. And that was my review of AEW Dynamite this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification for updates on future videos. And yeah, please watch my shit. Bye-bye.